Chris from Republic Poly. Okay, I think Deborah actually have already introduced myself. Yeah, so today I guess that we are actually here for a nutrition workshop for tennis student athletes. Okay, so I believe that you guys are parents of these tennis student athletes. So this workshop basically will actually um help you guys understand a little bit better on the nutritional side of stuff. Okay, all right. So in terms of the approach, all right, the approach today we are going to talk about why nutrition is important for tennis athletes itself, and of course, describing the key nutrients in food, as well as understanding the energy system utilized in tennis, because I guess that most of parents, I'm a parent myself as well. Okay, we want to understand, how we can actually better help our kids, okay, in terms of their sport. And of course, we need to explain the different types of nutrients that we need, okay, for tennis, as well as how we can actually apply these dietary and hydration strategies for tennis itself. Okay. Okay, so I guess that's the ultimate question, right? That people will want to ask is that why nutrition is actually important. Yeah, so if we actually talk about physical growth and development, I guess that is one of the key factors because technically we eat to grow. Yep. And of course, in terms of energy demands, okay, so for people probably my age or parents' age, I guess we don't need as much energy as our toddlers as well as our adolescents kids that we have. So in terms of energy demand, there will be a difference, okay, between your kids as well as yourself. All right. And of course, muscular repair and recovery, that is actually a very big part because most of the people or rather athletes actually neglect this part, which is very important because it's actually post-exercise recovery. Yeah. So of course, if you think about it, if you actually go through your day and if you actually go through your training, what happens is that your muscles will be undergoing stress. So that is why we do need the proper nutrients to actually help in terms of muscular repair and recovery. And of course, optimal performance and cognitive function. Okay, certain food can actually help in terms of your neuro, okay, as well as how we can actually help to improve performance itself. So injury prevention and immune function, some of the food provide antioxidants, okay, as well as why do we need certain nutrients to help in terms of aid in terms of recovery, because after a long day of exercise, okay, your body will be put under stress and free radicals will be actually being um produced in the body itself. So that is why some of the antioxidants can be consumed via food. Yeah. Okay, so actually, if you look at this My Healthy Plate, this is actually our initiative for Singapore. Okay, if you guys actually remember, we always look at the healthy pyramid. Yeah, but HPB actually changed it to the healthy plate. Yeah, so if you look at it, this is actually a basic nutrition guideline, okay, that applies to everybody. Yeah, even yourself, myself, okay. Yeah, so if you look at it, of course, fill up quarter plate with whole grains, quarter plate with good source of protein, and then half a plate is fruit and vegetable. So if you remember from the pyramid actually at the bottom is actually whole grain more than your meat and vegetable and whatnot. So in this case, the healthy plate, they actually switch its focus to fruit and vegetable. Yeah. Okay. Mm, I do not know whether any of you actually look at nutritional facts when you actually go to the supermarket and do your grocery shopping. Yeah, because to be honest, in the past I don't really look at them. However, I actually begin to look at them more often, and they actually give you really good information. Yeah. So if you look at the slide that is presented, okay, you can actually see there's total fats, cholesterol, sodium, carbohydrates, as well as protein. And they also have your macronutrients, micronutrients, sorry, which is your vitamin D, calcium, iron, and potassium. Yeah. So what they do is that they'll tell you about the serving size, okay, which is important because you do not want your kids to overeat. All right, the total calories that they actually give, calories from fat, carbohydrate, and protein content. These are very important because why? You want to know what you are actually putting it in your kid's body. Yeah. So, and of course, the percentage daily value. So this will actually tell you how much, okay, daily value percentage they actually contribute, right, to your diet itself. So if we look at it tentatively or technically, right, if you have a male, a son, or versus a daughter, technically sons will actually require higher um, calories, okay, as opposed to females, okay, and of course, in terms of protein intake, male will require a bit more. Yeah, so these are all gender factors. So when we look at nutritional facts, we do need to keep our eyes peeled for the important information. So different energy system during exercise, there are actually three energy system. Okay, I won't go too technical about this here because I might lose you all halfway in the explanation. But just know that there are three energy system. Okay, the first one will be your ATP PC system. Okay, that's the immediate energy system that lasts only 10 seconds. Yeah, so the initial stages like your, for example, like sprinting. Okay, so if in a game of tennis, like let's say for example, your kid actually rush to receive a ball. Yeah, so that will actually tap on the ATP PC system. Whatever happens after that, okay, after 10 seconds will be your anaerobic system. So anaerobic system doesn't actually requires oxygen, but it doesn't mean that oxygen is actually absent. So there are still oxygen. It's just that your anaerobic system will actually kick in after your first few 10 seconds. And that actually requires carbohydrates. So carbohydrates basically your macronutrients, okay, that we'll talk about it later. And then of course, in the presence of oxygen, so after 1 minute to 3 minutes, okay, aerobic system will kick in. Okay, so technically speaking, we are here listening to me talk. We are actually using our aerobic system because we are actually breathing. Yeah, okay. So the macronutrients that are actually used for aerobic system is actually your carbohydrates as well as fats. Yeah. So you might be wondering, what about protein? We do not use protein as energy unless we need to, because we have enough stores of carbohydrates as well as fats. Okay. So if you are actually thinking, oh, so tennis uses what energy system? To be very honest, tennis actually utilize all the energy system and all the energy system are actually happening concurrently at the same time. It's just which one is actually more than the other. Yeah, so say for example, if we think about a tennis game, okay, if we are doing rally actually practically not so intense, the intensity is not so high. Okay. If you're just serving back and forth, okay, that one will actually tap on your aerobic system because you are able to catch your air, okay, and also return the ball in a moderate intensity. Okay, so if we tap on the six major essential nutrients, okay, I believe that carbohydrates, fats, and proteins are quite familiar to most people. Okay, these are your macronutrients, and then of course your vitamin, minerals, and water are your micronutrients. So if we actually look at the acceptable macronutrients distribution range for the macronutrients, these are actually the percentage, okay, that are required, all right, in terms of your daily calories. Yeah, so this is actually a guideline. But again, with different sports, okay, different requirements, these numbers will change. But of course, for our average general population, this is actually the range that we are, comfortable at. So if we look at carbohydrates, so basically carbohydrates is nutrients that actually, needed to actually provide energy for our body. So if we think about it as fuel for the car, yeah. So in terms of that, we actually need carbohydrates to fuel our body because carbohydrates itself are actually readily available in our muscles. So this is practically our first line of fuel to actually use, then followed by fats. So of course it can be found in like bread, rice, fruits and vegetables. Yeah. So if you actually look at your nutritional value, okay, again, like I mentioned, right? You can actually see how much percentage of carbohydrates is there. Yeah. So if we actually look at it, okay, these are actually the recommendations. So 3 to 12 grams of carbohydrates per kilogram body weight is a general recommendation for daily carbohydrate needs. So if we actually look at the type of training based on the intensity, so say for example, duration as well, of course, if tennis training is around approximately an hour a day and the intensity is moderate intensity, all right, the range can go up to 5 to 7 grams per kilogram body weight. Yeah. So if let's say your kid is 35 kg, yeah, and you are at moderate training, so 5 to 7 times 35 kg. That is actually the grams recommended for carbohydrates itself. Yeah. So in terms of carbohydrates, they have different glycemic index. Okay, so what does glycemic index mean? All right, so glycemic index actually means that the rate of how the food is actually being digested and absorbed into the bloodstream itself. So if we look at there's actually two, okay, GI food. We call it the low GI as well as the high GI. So low GI is actually your complex carbohydrates. Okay, it actually in terms of gradually increase your blood sugar. Okay, and of course, it generally has higher fiber content lah. Yeah, and your high GI food is your simple carbohydrates, which actually is more like an immediate rise of blood sugar. So low GI food takes longer to be broken down and secreted or absorbed in the body itself. High GI is a little bit faster. Okay, so in terms of glycemic index food, okay, some of the high GI food can be your plain white bread, your white rice, okay, jasmine rice. Low GI can be your multigrain sourdough, which are actually very beneficial in terms of that. And then of course, low GI can also be your sushi rice as well. Yeah. So I guess there's a lot of you know resources out there that you can actually find for high and low GI food. Yeah, so this will actually help you to better plan in terms of when it comes to training, what to actually eat. So how do they actually classify? Okay, is basically if you look at the scale, how they actually, get secreted into your blood itself. So high GI food technically is quite quick, okay, versus your low GI. Yeah, so in a way, we will encourage people to actually eat more low GI food, okay, because we do not want to spike the body if you do not need it, okay. But later on in the later slides, I will actually go through, when to actually have low GI food or high GI food, yeah, in terms of your training capacity. So this is actually a general sample meal plan for carbohydrates itself. So if you can see for breakfast, it's mostly um one and a half cups of Raisin Bran cereal. So your cereals. Okay, so if we look at cereals, if we look at High GI will be your Kellogg's Cocoa Pops. I don't know if you guys know the brand Kellogg's. And then of course your low GI will be your Kellogg's All Brand cereal, which is if you look at this table itself is 1.5 cups lah of a raisin brand cereal. And then of course your skim milk as well as sliced strawberries. And then if you look at your lunch, you got grilled cheese sandwich, 2 cups of vegetables, and then of course your general crackers, okay, and then a pear. And then of course your dinner, you have your 1.5 cups of spaghetti with marinara sauce. Yep. Okay, and of course some protein. Okay, and 1 cup of mixed vegetable, 2 cups of skim milk, and 1 cup of frozen yogurt with half 1 cup mixed berries. So total grams of carbohydrates will be around like 346 grams. Yeah, so this is actually very generic. Okay, basically again, like mentioned, right? 3 to 12 grams of carbohydrates per kilogram body weight. So it's dependent on how much you actually put in your body based on the activity level. Okay, so for protein, your recommended daily allowance is actually 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram body weight. Okay, so for athletes, it's actually recommended for 1.2 to 2 grams per kilogram. Okay, honestly, why the increase is because, again, like I mentioned at the start, okay, muscular um, recovery, okay, repair. All right. So basically, when the body actually undergo stress, okay, we do need to actually replace it. So therefore, we need to actually supplement it with protein. Yeah. So based on the recommended daily protein, okay, 1.2 to 2 grams per kilogram, okay, that would actually help in terms of the muscular repair as well as recovery. So if we look at this sample meal plan for protein itself, okay, if we see based on the protein content, okay, to be very honest, egg has the highest, okay, um protein per se and absorption. Yeah, so if you want to get protein in fast into the body, eggs is the way to go. But of course, I know some of the teens don't really like to eat egg because of the smell. Yeah, because my kids doesn't like to eat egg lah, but I try to do it scrambled so that they will like it. Yeah, so if you look at this, okay, scrambled eggs, okay, turkey sausage, all right, 2 slices of whole wheat toast, buttered banana, and then of course your snack can be your trail mix. Okay, nuts is actually a very good source of protein. All right. And then of course Greek yogurt. Okay. Especially Greek yogurt, they do have a lot of probiotics, okay, inside, good microbiomes. Okay, so this can actually help in terms of gut health as well. And of course your lunch, 2 turkey sandwiches, apple, and then as well as 1% milk, which is your skim milk lah. Okay, so in terms of afternoon snack, you got 2 scoops of protein powder. So protein powder also is a supplementation. So again, if you guys are not comfortable in giving protein powder, you can always supplement it with chocolate milk. Okay, they do have a high um protein content, and it's always good for recovery as well. Okay, and then of course mashed potatoes, broccoli, yeah, and your milk as well. So if we look at it, total calories 3,200. Generically, we're looking at 2,500 to 3,200. Yeah, so that actually falls in the general meal plan. Okay, so for fats, they do not have any recommended daily allowance because technically speaking, I'm not saying fat is bad. Some fats are good, okay, but they do not have a recommended daily allowance. But of course, if we look at the total calories that requires fats is 20 to 35%, if we remember from the acceptable daily range, okay, that we need to consume. Okay, so of course your trans fat, uh, preferably not to have trans fat, okay, but your good fats, okay, your omega-3, okay, it's acceptable. All right. So we will look at the different kinds of fats. Okay. If we look at your saturated fatty acids, monounsaturated, polyunsaturated, as well as trans fatty acid. Trans fatty acid we try not to consume so much lah. Okay, your unsaturated fats are okay. Yeah, but your saturated fats not so much. Yeah, so that is why if we look at this, your polyunsaturated a little bit higher, saturated a bit lesser. Yes. So if we look back at the nutritional label, okay, when we actually look at the fat content, okay, we want to look for unsaturated rather than your saturated and trans fats. Omega-3, omega-6 is actually good fats, yeah, for the body itself. Okay, so we'll go on to vitamins. Okay, of course, vitamins is class under water soluble, fat soluble. So, your water soluble ones you can actually consume a bit more because excess will be excreted in urine. However, your fat soluble ones will not. They will be stored in your body. Yeah, so in terms of vitamin C, usually people tend to take a little bit more, okay, but in terms of the daily requirement, whatever that's in excess will be passed out in the urine. Yeah, so having a bit more vitamin C in the body, I would say will not be detrimental. Okay, you can still have your vitamin C. Yeah, but of course, take what is required lah. Okay. So if we look at the food that actually have these vitamins inside, so if you look at grains, okay, they have your vitamin B, okay, so your thiamine, riboflavin, niacin, all these are your vitamin B. Um, yeah, your vitamin Bs, okay, your folates also, okay, and then of course your vegetable, you have C, A, E, K, all right, and fruits, okay, as we know, mostly have your vitamin C's inside. So oils, because they are fats, okay, fats tend to have vitamin E. Yeah, okay, so milk also your vitamin B, all right, as well as A, D itself, and meat, of course, you have most of the vitamin Bs, A, D, and K. Okay. So then, of course, minerals, okay, we have a few, your major minerals and trace minerals. Okay, major minerals is more of the ones that are, I wouldn't say more important, but the ones that are more present. Okay, so if your sodium, your salt, potassium, as well as your calcium, and then of course your iron, zinc, and chromium. So iron itself for females, okay, they will need a little bit more, okay, due to monthly menstruation cycle. So iron is quite important for them. Okay, so of course, if we look at the food that contains these minerals, okay, your grains, they have most of it. So that is why when we look at grains itself, they do provide with a lot of minerals. All right, your vegetable as well. So some of it can be your broccoli. Yeah, I do know, most people don't really like to eat broccoli lah. Yeah, because they find it like very hard to cook. Yeah, so broccoli has quite a number of minerals in them. So we can actually promote a bit lah for your kids to eat broccoli. Okay, then fruits, of course, iron, potassium, milk, okay, has quite a bit. So however, when you look at milk, try to get those milk that are fresh. Okay, the UHT milk do have enhanced vitamins or minerals inside lah. So you do need to read the nutritional label as well. Okay, then of course your meat and beans, your red meat will have more of the iron. Okay, and then of course the rest of the minerals inside. Okay, so water itself, as we know, they are vital. Okay, because without water, we practically cannot survive lah. I don't know whether you all hear of this saying before. They say you can actually survive without food for 7 days, but you cannot survive without water for 7 days. Yeah, something along that line. Yeah, but in a way, we need to keep our body hydrated. That is why it's very important that water is always present. Yeah, so that is why in terms of competition wise, they do always have water break. And of course, when the weather is very hot, the water breaks are more present. Yeah, in the match itself. So if we look at in terms of daily water intake, of course, based on the age, okay, based on how many liters we do need to drink. If we look at males 9 to 13, 14 to 19 is around like 2.4 liters, 3.3. Okay, and then of course, females 2.3, 2.7, thereabouts. Okay, so of course we do have some water from food, like for example your fruits. Okay, and then of course your beverages will actually contribute to most lah of the water content. So of course beverages not only limited to water, but also you can count your sports drinks, okay, your isotonic drinks and whatnot. Okay, so of course, this is actually the American College Sports Medicine hydration recommendation. Okay, because it's just to really prevent heat illness. If you realize, I know, um, nowadays the weather a bit erratic lah. Yeah, right. Sometimes it's very hot, sometimes it's raining. So I think in terms of this is a guideline to actually help to prevent heat illness because I think heat illness is actually very important to prevent because you never know when it strikes. Yeah, and it's very important lah to know. Okay, so in terms of recommendation, the guideline 3 to 7 ml per kg body weight of fluid 2 to 4 hours before exercise. So make sure that you are very hydrated before you exercise. And then of course, 150 to 300 ml of fluid 30 minutes before exercise. Yeah, so in terms of drinking, okay, at as much or as often as necessary, okay, during prolonged exercise, okay, you can actually consume about like 400 to 800 ml per hour, okay, in order to prevent your body weight loss. So you must understand that like when you are in the heat, right, you will lose water through sweat as well as sometimes we actually go to the toilet lah. Yeah, so we need to actually really replenish. Yeah, so that's why sometimes if take for example F1, right? When they're actually racing, right, the driver will actually take their body weight pre um body weight. And then after the race, they will actually take their post body weight. They want to see how much water they actually lose, right, during that, and then so that they can actually replace because um racing itself is really very, very hot. So similarly, okay, we talk about tennis, right? Okay, we also want to, if you want to know how much your kid actually lose water, you can actually weigh him before his training, before his game. Then after the game, then you can actually weigh him again, and then you see. So of course, you have to rehydrate as soon as possible after exercise. Most people they kind of neglect that part, okay, because after they actually um finish exercise, all they want to do is to shower and then go home. Yeah, and then they probably maybe they will drink in the car or on the transport on the way home. Yeah, but the best is after you finish already, please hydrate as soon as possible. Okay, and of course to replace 150% of fluid loss. So how do we know? Is to actually weigh yourself. Yeah. So in terms of tennis, okay, if we look at your pre-match, okay, the objectives is to actually really boost muscle glycogen stores. Okay, muscle glycogen meaning your carbohydrate stores in your muscles. So the reason why we want to boost that is because the muscles, when you actually start exercising, what happens is that the first source of energy will come from your muscle. So the first source of energy comes from muscle, so therefore we need to actually um build up the stores so that it doesn't get depleted so quickly. And then of course, like we mentioned, pre-match to maintain your hydration level. So of course, for this, we want to focus on consuming your complex carbohydrates, which is your low GI food, okay, because we do not need that quick, fast rise of sugar level. That is why we opt for a low GI food. Yeah, so of course we aim approximately 10 to 12 grams of carbohydrate, okay, again, okay, in the 36 to 48 hours leading to the event that lasts more than 90 minutes. So of course in a full day competition, you do have breaks in between, so you can actually supplement it with some food, okay? But again, we want to build up the stores prior, okay, to the game itself. So of course, before a meal, try to eat at least 90 minutes. Okay, best is actually 3 hours lah. Yeah, because in terms of digestion and whatnot, okay, this is actually a good time, 3 hours before. Similarly, if you are actually do a physiological testing or exercise testing, we will always recommend a 3 hours, not to have a heavy meal 3 hours um before. Yeah, so anything more than that, you can actually do it. Yeah, so 3 hours before, yeah, try to have your meal 3 hours before lah. Okay, and of course, we pre-competition meal try to get more in high in carbohydrates. Okay, and of course low in fat and protein lah. All right, the reason why high in carbohydrate because we need to actually boost your muscle glycogen stores. Yeah, so that one is actually very important. Yeah, that we actually opt for that. Okay, and then of course, when you start to play in between, we can actually have a quick snack that is actually high GI, right, to actually help in terms of increasing that blood sugar level immediately. Okay. All right, so some of the carbohydrate snacks, okay, can be your low fruit or grain bars. Okay, some fruit loaf. I know not many people like it. Okay, and then of course pancakes, frozen yogurt. All right, banana cake is actually quite good. Okay, and then of course oat biscuits lah. So the one in the picture, oat crunch, is actually very good. Yeah, but of course if you look at it in terms of sugar level, also you need to try and watch. Yeah, so always look out for the healthier choice logo. Okay, that one will actually help in terms of that. Okay, so of course then in match, okay, recommended, okay, we stay hydrated, okay, with fluids, of course, is to actually help regulate body temperature. Okay, and of course we need to replenish our salt. Okay, so to be honest, sports drink around 6 to 8% carbohydrates actually are more appropriate. So if you look at the labels, yep, you can actually see in terms of carbohydrates that they actually will actually show, and then in terms of the nutritional label. And of course, like I said, in between, okay, high GI food, okay, that are like energy gels and whatnot for actually quick spike in terms of carbohydrates or blood sugar level. Okay, so of course, try not to have Coca-Cola lah, or other very high sugary drinks. Okay, because high sugary drinks um with caffeine, tentatively sometimes with caffeine lah. Okay, so caffeine is actually a diuretic lah. So it may actually you know make you want to actually pee. Yeah. And then we actually increase fluid loss. Yeah, so it's something that we do not want. We want to retain water. We want your kids to actually, stay hydrated. Yeah, so of course, banana class under low GI. I know some of you might see that like, hey, but during match I see some of the people take bananas. Yeah. To be honest, this is more encouraged in terms of prior, right? Not in match. Yeah. So in match we try to have like quick gels, okay, to actually help in terms of that. And then of course your fatty snacks, try not to encourage it lah. So these are some energy boosters that you can have. Okay, canned fruit, yeah, maybe a jam sandwich, okay, rice crackers, yogurt, watermelon slices, okay, it also has high water content. All right, and then of course, I would encourage chocolate milk lah, yeah, or Milo is fine. Yeah, but again, okay, if we stick to your 6 to 8% carbohydrates, I think that's okay. And then of course post-match, have a 200 to 300 calorie snack right after. Okay, for example, it can be a half sandwich or fruit juice. Yeah, but of course, keep the high carbohydrate snacks and drink available lah. Yeah, because to be honest, we want to replenish the carbohydrates as quick as possible as well. Yeah, but of course, in terms of that, what's the goal is to actually restore muscle and liver glycogen. Yeah, so we do need to consume um your food, okay, immediately. Yeah, but of course you can give yourself some rest lah. Yeah, because I don't think you can eat a large meal, but probably a snack will suffice. Okay, then probably after um everything you can go and have a your main meal. Yeah, to actually replenish back what you actually lost. Okay, so of course, protein intake is also required. Okay, like I mentioned, okay, for muscular recovery as well as muscular repair. So that actually work hand in hand with your carbohydrate intake as well. So again, for fluid, replace 150%. Okay, this is very important. So of course, through the game itself, okay, usually you will perspire, right? You actually lose salt as well as potassium in the body itself. So through sweat, okay, this your basically your electrolytes lah. You need to actually replace. Okay, so of course, important things to take note. Okay, if let's say your kid is going to start another match within 1 2 hours, so rehydrate. Okay, have some higher GI carbohydrates. Okay, so that they can actually replenish. Because if not, they won't have time. All right, so your higher GI sports drink and whatnot can actually help in terms of that. Yeah. So if let's say your kid actually lost a lot of sweat, okay, again, we try to encourage a little bit of salt lah, okay, so that in our electrolytes to actually help in terms of that. So that's why I say rehydration is very important. Okay, so when we actually choose our choice of drink, okay, we try not to get those very high sugary ones lah. Yeah, we try to aim for those that has like, um lower sugar content, like I mentioned 6 to 8%. Okay, and then of course maybe they have a bit more electrolyte inside. Yeah. To be honest, I'm not promoting anything, but I think Pocari Sweat is actually very good. Yeah, but Pocari Sweat do have a little bit higher sugar content lah. Yeah, but to be honest, it works quite well. Okay, because they do have some electrolytes in them. Okay, so of course, recovery snacks, okay, can be some low-fat fruit smoothies. Okay, I personally will put my hand up for sushi hand rolls because um they do have your mixture of your carbohydrates, protein, okay, as good fats, okay, if you add avocado lah, slices in them. Okay, and of course, glass of milk, okay, glass of milk, I will recommend chocolate milk, okay, and of course, your chicken pasta and whatnot. Okay. So all in all, I think that for diet itself, okay, having a balanced diet is actually very important. Yeah, but of course, if we want to follow in terms of the recommended, okay, allowance for your carbohydrates, fats, and protein, you can. But of course, for athletes, okay, that are actually undergoing training, they do require certain more amount of macronutrients than the other. Yeah, so if you actually look at it technically, okay, at adolescents, they are growing. Okay, so in terms of their energy, okay, metabolism, they do require a higher amount of calories in their body. Yeah. So I think optimal hydration is very, very important. This one I cannot stress enough because um to be honest, we don't drink enough water. Yeah. Yeah. I guess that if you ask yourself, do you all actually have drink like like they always say, how 8 cups of water or like 2 liters of water a day, okay, is recommended. I think sometimes when we are busy we might forget to drink water lah. So in terms of for your kids, right? Yeah, they do actually undergo um very strenuous kind of training, so hydration is very key. Okay, and of course, nutritional plans are customizable, okay, to the needs. So of course, you do need to calculate in terms of their daily expenditure, energy expenditure. And then of course, then you can actually create a meal plan for them. Yeah. So everybody can actually be individualized because everyone's body works differently. Yeah. So in terms of that, you know, what is required for your kid okay, in terms of how much calories they need, may not be the same as another of your maybe your friend's kid, okay, that's doing the same sport. Yeah, because each individual, all right, they actually requires different levels. Yeah, but of course, if we talk about age as well as training intensity, yep. Okay, but in terms of body composition, okay, um, yeah, they might not be the same. Okay, all right. So with that, thank you guys for listening. Okay, I do hope that yeah, I shared valuable information yeah to you all. And yeah, feel free to ask any questions and I will, yes, do my best to answer it.
Okay, so regarding, I've seen some questions in the chat. Joe, one of them is asking if they will be given access to the slides. So this meeting is
Mm.
recorded, and then we will share to the rest. Our target will be to share to the rest of the academies for all the parents. And then the next question someone has would be, does cooking destroy minerals?
Okay, so I guess there's a lot of debate over this, right? That people say that like, oh, if you cook at a high temperature, your minerals will be lost and all that. Even when you wash it, your minerals will be lost. To be honest, when we cook, because of the heat, yes, okay, some minerals will be lost, but still there will be minerals, retained in the food itself. So if we actually look at it, to be honest, they will lose certain um percentage of the minerals. So that is why when we actually look at nutritional label, we try to see what is actually best, suited, and then we actually consume them. So of course we don't cook food at high heat, okay, but of course if your general cooking should be okay. Yeah, for minerals itself lah. I do hope that that actually answers the question. Yep.
Okay, so moving on to the next question. One of the one of them missed out. Is fresh milk preferred over UHT? Is full cream slash whole milk preferred over skim milk?
Yep. Okay, so for this question, right, I would say that fresh milk is actually I would recommend it lah rather than UHT, because UHT itself they undergo processes. Yeah, so we actually do not know. Okay, so UHT does have a longer shelf life. That's why they undergo processes, right? That's why they have a longer shelf life. So for in terms of our body, fresh milk will be highly recommended. And of course, skim milk is to prevent in terms of fat percentage to go up. Yeah, but of course, if in terms of the requirements for calories, I would actually recommend full cream milk. Yeah, although the fat percentage is higher, but in terms of that, to be honest, skim milk also undergoes some processes itself. Yeah, that is why they can actually reduce the fat content. Yeah, so of course, again, if mm, fat, you actually hit your daily required fat percentage, yeah, sure, why not? We can actually, um, put in drink full cream milk, okay, whole milk instead of skim milk itself. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So another question would be, can 7-year-old consume protein shake? Example for optimal nutrition?
Okay, so for protein shake, right? To be very honest, yeah, there's a reason why they are called supplements lah. Yeah. So if you can actually take um your protein requirements through your daily food, then yes, we won't actually recommend that. Because if you actually look at your protein powder, okay, some of it do have like whey inside lah, which most protein powders have. Okay, they are practically milk protein. Yeah. So if you can actually supplement it with like your milk as well as your red meat and whatnot, right? For protein, I would actually not recommend a 7-year-old to actually start on protein powder unless they have some allergies or like yeah, but it's very highly unlikely you have allergy to meat lah. Yeah.
Okay. And then the next question will be, can you recommend any books for ideas of cooking which will help make a complete meal? And in addition to that, how can someone get more information about diving into the topic about nutrition for kids?
Um, Book recommendation at the top of my head, I will have to apologize lah. I can't really thought about it. Yeah, but I do have one book that I really like is actually from the fitness chef. Okay. To be honest, some people say it's a bit controversial, but in terms of healthy eating, or rather eating without having to think of what to eat, I think that book actually helps to recommend in terms of like what you eat versus what you see it may not be. Yeah, so I think that actually gives us a different perspective whereby we always think that like if we eat certain things we will actually like get fatter or like increase in weight. But um honestly, if we look at what the food actually give us, right? um they are actually okay. To be honest, if you're thinking like, oh, maybe I need to eat a bit healthier, I cannot eat pizza, right? But if you look at pizza, right, in terms of the crust itself, the meat itself, the sauce itself, the cheese itself, they all actually have your various macronutrients inside, if you think about it. Yeah. And then of course, in if we look at, in terms of calories, yeah, we need to count lah. And of course, if you use like a healthier choice, kind of like, maybe olive oil rather than your canola oil and all that, actually it all works out okay. Yeah.
Okay. Another question, which
Mm-hmm.
is more important for height growth, calcium
Height
or
growth. Height
yes?
growth. Height growth, of course, to be honest, hormones does play a part as well. Genetics does play a part as well. But of course, in terms of bone growth, yeah, calcium, K protein will be muscular growth. And of course, if I were to put an answer to it, of course it's calcium lah. But in terms of for height, really it all depends on genetics as well. Yeah, because if you remember back to biology, right? The In terms of the parents, and then if both parents are tall, g- genetically our kids will be taller. But of course, if we will talk about height growth, yeah, bone growth, okay, calcium is actually recommended. Yeah, but of course we do need to um stack on protein for in terms of muscular growth as well lah. Yeah.
Okay. Another question will be, is
Mm.
weight gainer okay for 8 years old?
Weight gainer protein powder, to be honest, like I said, it's not recommended. Okay. But of course, if we need it to supplement, then yes, we do lah. But for that age, because their metabolism is technically higher. Yeah. So even if they actually take protein powder and whatnot, right, they do consume it quite quickly. Yeah, or they metabolize it quite quickly lah. So if we're looking at weight gainer protein powder, again the objective is what you're trying to achieve. If it's trying to build muscles, okay, of course, if your daily diet is not enough, cannot supplement it, then yes, I would recommend, okay, protein powder. But generically at a younger age, yeah, we don't recommend it lah. A normal diet should suffice. Yep.
Okay. Is multivitamin recommended for kids? If yes, what type and what brand in relation to an athlete's diet?
Multivites. Actually, there's a couple of brands. To be very honest, I don't recommend a specific brands because, to be honest, most multivitamins they do have the similar, content because they are all multivites. Yeah. I cannot recommend a certain brand. But of course, in terms of like if you're looking for price point, in authenticity of the brand itself, then yeah, I think they are all your main commercial ones like Swiss, um, your Nature's Way, as well as your Blackmores and whatnot. Yeah, these are some of the more I would say reliable brands lah. Yeah, that you can actually buy. Okay, but to put a brand, okay, I am not endorsing anything, but those are some brands lah that we can you can actually look up and actually look at what they actually offer. Yeah.
Okay, so what do you recommend in terms of supplement to help promote muscle recovery faster after
Mm.
episodes of strenuous
Strenuous
training?
training. Okay, so actually to be honest, I actually usually what I recommend is branched chain amino acid BCAA because that's the simpler form of protein and it's actually quite fast lah. Yeah, in terms of absorb in the body itself. But of course, again, this can be actually taken from your food itself. So if we look at supplements itself, yeah, okay, again, the word supplement is basically supplementing what is not enough. Yeah. So an example can also be like, let's say if you are lactose intolerant, you cannot actually take like dairy and whatnot, right? You do not have calcium in the body itself. So what you do is that you supplement it with calcium supplements. Yeah, because you can't actually eat certain food because of the allergy. Yeah, so similarly to this, promote muscular recovery. Of course, highly recommend chocolate milk. Okay, based on literature, chocolate milk actually can help to for muscular recovery after post exercise. So that itself is not a supplement. Yeah, but chocolate milk does actually have very high effect lah. Yeah, but if you're looking for a supplement, like I said, BCAA, branched chain amino acid, because they are simple proteins, okay, but also do note that there are some which are recommended for various ages. Yeah, so if they are too young, technically speaking, they should not be taking these supplements lah. Yeah.
Okay, the last and final question we have would
Mm.
be, during extensive training, is it okay for kids to take isotonic drinks?
I guess isotonic drink is okay. Okay, but of course not too much high in sugar lah, because I guess that like nowadays a lot of people are quite crazy about the drink Prime, right? I believe that your kids probably ask you to buy one bottle before. Yeah. To be honest, personally actually tried because I want to know what the hype is about. To be very honest, it is very, very sweet. Okay. Energy drink, isotonic drink, okay, to be honest, certain recommendation can be your 100 plus H2O, okay, as well as Pocari Sweat. I guess if we look at the nutrition label, like I mentioned, 6 to 8% of carbohydrates is actually recommended. Yeah, so in terms of that, yes, you can actually take, okay, isotonic drink, all right, but of course, do not forget that you still need to hydrate with water as well, because isotonic drink can actually replace in terms of electrolytes and whatnot, but of course, mainly water loss is also you need to actually hydrate lah. Yeah, through that.
Okay, so if there are no more questions with that, I think we will end this meeting here. We thank you for joining us and we thank Mr. Ferdinand for coming on to talk to us. Thank you. We will try and send out the recording as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody.